Welcome to this episode of the Harpreet Singh Show. I'm your host Harpreet Singh from Surrey, British Columbia, Canada. It's a great honor for me today to interview a person who is known all over the world for influencing people and making them become better in their own life. So today, with great honor and privilege, we welcome and present before you Azim Jamal, an international best-known author and a public motivator. So let's get over to him in Vancouver and talk about some basic things of life as to what we can learn from our life. Azim, good evening. Welcome to the program.
Thank you, Harpreet.
How are you?
I'm doing very well, thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you very much for sparing your valuable time. And today, the topic on which we would like to talk is what is our purpose in life? How to find that purpose? And you always talk about that if we are living, we need to give. So I would like to start this program with your story, personal story, because you are being watched all over the world today. You were a successful accountant, spending your life luxuriously, but one incident changed your life. So what was that, and how did you have that guts to take a stand and immediately change from one profession to another, whereby you devoted your life for the betterment of people?
Thank you, Harpreet. So I shared this story in my TEDx talk recently called Live to Give, which people can access from TEDx. However, basically, Robert Byrne is an author. He once said, the purpose of life is to have a life of purpose. So everybody, whether they realize or not, are discovering for a life of purpose. I was too. And I found mine by adopting one simple daily habit. And that daily habit was live to give. Yes, live to give. So how did I get there? Is the experience I had working with refugees in Pakistan many years ago, and I had a very powerful experience working in a small tent of 11 refugees, where my job was to do budgeting for them because I had 3 professional accounting degrees, and what I heard and what I saw changed my life from accounting for business, which is accounting for profit, to accounting for life, which is accounting for impact.
So at that time, you were you were about 42, if I'm not wrong. And that is
43
the
years
time,
old.
pardon me, I'm
43
right?
years old. Yeah. Yeah. 40,
So,
43. Yeah.
yeah. So at that time, you are aspiring for more and more, for name and fame, and everything was with you. But what was that incident in that refugee tent which changed your life and you decided and came back to Canada and said, no, no more accounting. I would like to shift to something else.
Yeah, so I went in the small tent, and there were 11 of them staying in a very small tent. So as I entered the tent, I could see the mosquitoes, clouds of mosquitoes. I could see the mattress. I could see the kitchen, and there was no furniture. So we sat on the floor. And as we sat down, I was offered a hot cup of tea and dry fruits. So my role there was to find out how much money they need to live on. I was doing some work for a non-profit organization in Canada called Focus. And so as before we started, I took a sip from the hot cup of tea. And I look around, and everybody in that room had a glow. I was wondering what happened. Suddenly I realized because I was drinking that cup of tea which they made, they felt so happy that I was having a cup of tea that they were giving me. So it made me realize you don't have to be rich to give. Rather, you become richer when you give. So even they had nothing, but because they could give me a cup of tea, they felt so good. And then, of course, I had stories from them in terms of how they had come from Afghanistan to Pakistan, walked in the mountains for many days. The mother got sick in the mountain, the cousin gave birth to a child, but they had to keep walking to survive. And I heard stories about how a child of 1 month old has lost his father, being murdered, in the war. And the stories were quite heartbreaking, and in about 40 minutes, I got physically sick, I couldn't take it anymore.
And
And then
that
I
was
was
a time which brought about the change in you, where you started thinking that now I need to come forward and do something. And as in, there's a Chinese proverb, don't give a person a fish to eat, but to teach them how to fish. That is what was in your mind, and you changed your direction of life. But it must not have been easy, Azim, that taking such a bold decision and then also pursuing that. So how did you get how did you get those guts to take that challenge upon yourself?
So first I had to decide what can I do to help them. And I had two choices. I was a professional accountant. I was an ACCA from England, a CPA, a chartered financial planner, and I had two accounting businesses. So I said I could make some money in the accounting business and send it to them. But it felt like a drop in the ocean because at that time there were 700 million people in the world who are in abject poverty. So I said, what else could I do to help them? And I realized I had a gift to motivate, to inspire. I should do that in my community. So I said, if I do that full time, I could talk about giving, I could write about giving, I could speak about, and that could really make an impact on people's lives. And with my wife's support, and I was able to transform.
Which year was this?
This was 1997.
Wow. So since 1997 to 2002, and now you are the author of 10 books. Your new book is just coming from success to significance. It's going to be published soon. So this must not have been an easy transition. An accountant who is only concerned about numbers, how did then you started writing, and then of course the kind of challenges you must have gone through? It must not have been an instant success, not unlike now where you're known all over the world. You have been speaking in all the seven continents. So how did this journey happen?
So yeah, when I came back, first of all, I had to convince my wife. I had to do one more accounting. I'd done the accounting for life to accounting for business, now to do accounting for life. And so I had to convince her. And my son was 3 years old at that time. My daughter was 8. So my wife was quite nervous about me changing my career and giving up my bread and butter, my accounting business and practice and profession. But she eventually agreed on one condition. The condition was we don't sell our accounting businesses. And so I'm glad I listened to her, because if I hadn't, I would have been in deep trouble. Because the first year I spoke 185 times across the world. Second year I spoke 187 times across the world. I didn't make a penny. In fact, I was spending my own money. It was very, very tough, right? It went on until I was almost going to give up. But then one book fell on my laps, which was a book by somebody who was going to commit suicide and ended up selling 36 million copies. It was a sign for me that if he can do it, I can do it too. So I continued.
And of course, as you said, initially there was struggle, but now it's something different. But today, again, as our focus of talk is going to be what is our purpose in life? So, how to find that purpose, how to find that passion? Many times in life, like you said, you were an accountant, you could have given some money, which generally we people do most of the time, that we try to help others. But yours was a different shift. How did you find that purpose in life? So, today, take us on this journey, whereas we also can understand, and people who are watching all over the world can understand that how to find their purpose in life.
So the way I found my purpose was I went to give my time as a volunteer. And while giving my time as a volunteer, I went through a very soul stirring experience, which made me look within to realize what can I do. And in that process, I stumbled into my calling, my gift of being an inspirational speaker and an author, and a leadership coach, right? Now, what happens is everybody is born with a gift, but most people never find their gift. Some die never finding their gift because they don't teach you to find the gift in school. They don't teach you how to find the gift at home with your parents because they don't know. They don't teach you at the Gurudwara or church or mosque. So at work. So where do you find it? So one thing I realized, Harpreet, was we are given the gift when we are born to use it to make a difference in the world. So one thing you have to realize is the gift you have can only be optimized or ignited if you find a cause you want to make a difference to. I found my gift in a tiny Afghan refugee camp or tent because I found something I could make a difference to.
Right. Wonderful. Azim, it's time for a break. We'll go for a break, and then we will continue with our journey of understanding. Live to give. That's a slogan which you always given. Recently in a TEDx talk also you talked in details about this. So today, as we are talking about to find our purpose in life, and yours was a soul stirring incident which made you realize that you are not here just for accounting, but it's a different purpose, and you pursue that despite challenges. You were persistent. You had within you that yes, I'm going to succeed, And that's what it is all about, persistence and passion, which makes all the difference. So we'll go for a break. We'll be shortly back and continue with the discussion.
ਕੀ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਸਰੀ, ਡੈਲਟਾ, ਰਿਚਮੰਡ, ਐਬਸਫੋਰਡ ਜਾਂ ਵੈਂਕੂਵਰ ਵਿੱਚ ਨਵਾਂ ਘਰ ਬਣਾਉਣ ਬਾਰੇ ਸੋਚ ਰਹੇ ਹੋ ਜਾਂ ਫਿਰ ਪੁਰਾਣੇ ਘਰ ਨੂੰ ਰੈਨੋਵੇਟ ਕਰਨਾ ਚਾਹੁੰਦੇ ਹੋ? ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਲੋੜ ਹੈ ਇੱਕ ਤਜਰਬੇਕਾਰ ਬਿਲਡਰ, ਇੱਕ ਕ੍ਰੀਏਟਿਵ ਇੰਟੀਰੀਅਰ ਡਿਜ਼ਾਈਨਰ ਦੀ ਜੋ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਸਹੀ ਤਰ੍ਹਾਂ ਗਾਈਡ ਕਰ ਸਕਣ ਤੇ ਤੁਹਾਡੇ ਸੁਪਨੇ ਦੇ ਘਰ ਨੂੰ ਉਸਾਰ ਸਕਣ। ਅੱਜ ਹੀ ਕਾਲ ਕਰੋ ਹਰਪ੍ਰੀਤ ਜਾਂ ਸੰਦੀਪ 6048259295 ਉੱਤੇ।
ਹਰ ਰੰਗ ਹੈ ਸਾਡੇ ਕੋਲ, ਹਰ ਮਾਡਲ, ਹਰ ਇੱਕ ਦੀ ਆਪਣੀ ਵੱਖਰੀ ਪਹਿਚਾਣ। ਅਸੀਂ ਇੱਕ ਪਰਿਵਾਰ ਹਾਂ, ਸਾਡਾ ਕਰਮ ਹੈ ਅੱਗੇ ਵਧਾਉਣਾ, ਸਫ਼ਰ ਨੂੰ ਸੌਖਾ ਬਣਾਉਣਾ। ਬਸੰਤ ਮੋਟਰਸ, ਤੁਹਾਡੇ ਨਾਲ, ਤੁਹਾਡੇ करके।
है जुल्म ढाने का अंदाज भी कितना हंसी, हमारी जान पर बनाई है जब जब उसने अंगड़ाई ली। कभी खामोश रहते हैं, कभी शोर होता है। मोहब्बत में शरारत का मजा कुछ और होता है। दिल को जज्बात का तोहफा, खामोशियों को बात का तोहफा, खूबसूरती में जड़ी नजाकत अदाओं की चांद से मुखड़े को चांद सा तोहफा।
भारत ज्वेलर्स, सच्चे प्यार की चमक जैसा। 5 बिजनेस सेंटर सरी।
वंस अगेन वेलकम बैक टू द प्रोग्राम। ਅੱਜ ਦੇ ਇਸ ਪ੍ਰੋਗਰਾਮ 'ਚ ਅਸੀਂ ਗੱਲਬਾਤ ਕਰ ਰਹੇ ਹਾਂ ਅਜ਼ੀਮ ਜਮਾਲ ਨਾਲ, ਜਿਹੜੇ ਕਿ ਅੰਤਰਰਾਸ਼ਟਰੀ ਪੱਧਰ ਦੇ ਉੱਤੇ ਵੈਲ ਨੋਨ ਨੇ। ਇਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ 10 ਕਿਤਾਬਾਂ ਲਿਖੀਆਂ ਨੇ ਅਤੇ ਅਜ਼ੀਮ ਨੇ ਦੱਸਿਆ ਆਪਣੀ ਜ਼ਿੰਦਗੀ ਦਾ ਉਹ ਤਜਰਬਾ। 43 ਸਾਲ ਦੇ ਸਨ ਜਦੋਂ ਕਿ ਇਹ ਪਾਕਿਸਤਾਨ ਵਿੱਚ ਗਏ ਅਤੇ ਉੱਥੇ ਜਾ ਕੇ ਇੱਕ ਰਿਫਿਊਜੀ ਕੈਂਪ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਇੱਕ ਐਸਾ ਇੰਸੀਡੈਂਟ ਹੋਇਆ ਜਿਸ ਨੇ ਕਿ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਇਹ ਮਨ ਵਿੱਚ ਗੱਲ ਲਿਆਂਦੀ ਕਿ ਮੈਂ ਆਪਣੀ ਜ਼ਿੰਦਗੀ ਦਾ ਜੋ ਸਫ਼ਰ ਹੈ ਇਸ ਨੂੰ ਚੇਂਜ ਕਰਨਾ ਚਾਹੁੰਦਾ। ਆਮ ਤੌਰ ਦੇ ਉੱਤੇ ਅਸੀਂ ਕਿਸੇ ਦੀ ਮਦਦ ਕਰਦੇ ਨੇ, ਪਰ ਅਜ਼ੀਮ ਜਮਾਲ ਨੇ ਇਹ ਸੋਚਿਆ ਕਿ ਮੈਂ ਲੋਕਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਮੋਟੀਵੇਟ ਕਰਾਂ ਅਤੇ ਉਸ ਦੇ ਤਹਿਤ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਜਿਹੜੀਆਂ ਕਿਤਾਬਾਂ ਲਿਖੀਆਂ ਅਤੇ ਉਸ ਤੋਂ ਬਾਅਦ ਇੰਟਰਨੈਸ਼ਨਲ ਟੂਰਸ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਜਾ ਕੇ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਲੋਕਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਮੋਟੀਵੇਟ ਕੀਤਾ। ਅੱਜ ਉਸੇ ਸੰਬੰਧ ਵਿੱਚ ਅਸੀਂ ਗੱਲ ਕਰ ਰਹੇ ਹਾਂ ਕਿ ਹਾਊ ਟੂ ਫਾਈਂਡ ਯੋਰ ਪਰਪਸ ਇਨ ਲਾਈਫ ਐਂਡ ਲਿਵ ਟੂ ਗਿਵ। ਸੋ ਲੈਟਸ ਗੈਟ ਬੈਕ ਓਵਰ ਟੂ ਅਜ਼ੀਮ ਐਂਡ ਕੰਟੀਨਿਊ ਵਿਦ ਦ ਡਿਸਕਸ਼ਨ। So Azim, I was just translating what you said, and it's really inspiring what you did, and today where you are. Now, question is, we are blessed to live in a country like Canada, and we have everything. Well, still, always life is, what is not with us, rather than appreciating what we have with us. So now, when you talk about live to give, can you explain in details what do you mean by that?
So as you know, I went to give my time with work with the refugees. And through the process of my experience and the soul-stirring experience, even though I went through so many difficulties in the change of career, I tell you the 3 biggest rewards I got out of it. Firstly is that, I realized when you live to give, as you aspire to live to give, the universe conspires to help you. So every time, I did something to give, I got much more back. Secondly, as I went to transform the lives of others, in the process, my life got transformed. And thirdly, I realized every time I had a roadblock in my journey, there was a new path that appeared.
Mm-hmm.
So there's always a help coming to you because you live to give. I wrote 10 books. The first 4 to 5 books I was not successful. I still have some books in the garage. They're not paying rent. I can't evict them. They're so comfortable, and so. But the 5th book was The Power of Giving, which I wrote with my co-author called Harry McKinnon. The 2 of us wrote the book, and nobody wanted to publish the book, so we self-published. First, we wrote the book and we gave it away for free download.
Mm-hmm.
35,000 people downloaded the book,
Mm-hmm.
and then they started giving us comments. Life-changing book, powerful book, all this. So we said we should publish it. So we self-published, and we told the 35,000 people to promote it. And it went viral, and we beat Harry Potter on Amazon.
Mm-hmm.
So Penguin from New York called us and said we want to publish this book. So they published a book. We came number 1 again on Amazon, became number 1 on Barnes and Noble. It went into 10 languages. We won a Nautilus Gold Award, and we gave all the proceeds, all the revenue profits from the book to a foundation called Tides Foundation.
Mm-hmm.
And that book changed our life because we became popular through that book, and then I never looked back. So when I went back to my purpose of changing my career to write about giving, that's when my life changed.
Mm-hmm.
So live to give is what, when you give, you start to create, you start to innovate, you start to invite in your life.
Mm-hmm. You also talked about the universe also conspires to help you. Generally, as I said, living in a beautiful country, but still we complain and we are always focusing on what we don't have. There's a lot of talk about law of attraction. Movies have been made on that. In your books also, you have been talking about these things. Now, how does the universe conspire to help a person who is living to give?
Yeah, so one of the books we wrote is called "What You Seek is Seeking You." So what you are seeking is also seeking you. So when you are giving, you're also receiving in some way or the other. It's like if you have closed fist, you can't receive. If I give you something in the closed fist, you can't. But if you open your fist and give, you can also receive. So the more in the flow of giving you are, the more giving flows through you. The more in the flow of abundance you are, abundance flows through you. As you keep on giving, you keep on creating, you keep on innovating, you keep on finding, you keep on receiving. A cow which stops giving milk cannot create more milk. A tree which has a fruit and nobody takes it falls down and rots. A river which stops flowing stagnates, dies. So you got to keep on giving to keep on creating. We have so much potential. We have so much power. But the only way to tap into this power is to give, because then you can tap into your power. Otherwise, you don't go enough to tap into your potential.
Azim, it looks good when you listen to this, you get inspired for a moment. But as life comes upon you and your daily life routine starts, these things become theoretical only. How to make them practical and adopt them when life is heavier on you, and these are the words which can motivate you at that time. How to get that kind of attitude?
So, Harpreet, when you find your purpose, when you find your calling, when you enjoy what you are doing, when I struggled the first 5, 6, 7 years in my career, I was still very happy. I was still very passionate. I was still very excited because every day I woke up, I had the joy of doing what I love to do. For me, what I'm doing now is not like work. It's like my vocation has become my vacation. My career, my profession is my vacation. I can wake up at 1 in the morning, 2 in the morning. I'm excited. For me, it's such a joy to do what I do. So when you find that gift that you have and you use the gift to make an impact in the people's lives, in the people in the world, then even the problems become the opportunity. Even the problems become joy.
So you ought to have that passion, what you are saying, to pursue what you want to do. That passion needs to be evident and consistency has to be there.
So passion, purpose, giving. So your passion has to have a purpose and the purpose has to have some giving. And then there is magic.
Excellent. Now, again, when we talk about perspective, most of the times we have a negative perspective about everything. It's again always said, your perspective makes the difference, whether a glass is half full or half empty. Generally, as human beings, we know these things matter and they can change your course of life, as we see in you also. But most of the times we have a negative perspective about everything that is going on. Oh, this is not good, that is not good, what is happening around me is not good. And we talk about changing the world, but we are not ready to change ourselves. And you have gone all over the world, talked to all kinds of people. Why is this element heavier on us?
Yeah, I think, if you're too focused on yourself, you see, it's very hard to, I wrote a first book was called 7 Steps to Lasting Happiness. And I spent 10,000 hours writing the book. But one of the key messages, the best way to get happiness is to give happiness. Happiness is like a shadow. The more you follow it, the more it eludes you. The more you walk away from it and give it to others, it follows you. So when you realize that when it's too much about yourself, it's like you become too self-centered. The ego takes over, and we focus in the pursuit of getting, and the more we get, yet we don't find deep fulfillment. But when you start to give, you find your purpose. When you find your purpose, you find your gift. When you find your gift, you tap into your potential. When you tap into your potential, you make impact. And when you make impact, you find deep fulfillment.
Excellent. Again, it comes back to giving, what we are talking about, that everything revolves around this. So that has to be ingrained in our minds. And we need to pursue whatever we are doing, not just for accumulating for ourselves, but how whatever we are doing can be beneficial for the society at large. That should be the concept on which we need to work.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Even in business, the more you give your customers, the more business you get.
Right, absolutely. Azim, it's again time for a short break, so we go for a break. We'll be shortly back, and in the last segment, we'll learn more from you about basic things about life, which we take for granted. We think we know everything, but our attitude, our behavior, our personality tells us what we stand for. So we'll talk all about this after the short break.
ਪਰ ਇੱਕ ਐਸੀ ਥਾਂ ਹੁੰਦੀ ਹੈ ਜਿੱਥੇ ਹਰ ਕੋਈ ਆਪਣੀ ਨਿੱਜੀ ਜ਼ਿੰਦਗੀ ਦੇ ਸੁਨਹਿਰੀ ਪਲ ਯਾਦ ਰੱਖਦਾ ਹੈ। ਉਹ ਜਗ੍ਹਾ ਜਿੱਥੇ ਉਹ ਰਹਿੰਦਾ ਹੈ ਤੇ ਪਿਆਰ ਭਰਿਆ ਜੀਵਨ ਬਤੀਤ ਕਰਦਾ ਹੈ। ਇਹ ਗੱਲਾਂ ਤਾਂ ਹੀ ਪੂਰੀਆਂ ਹੁੰਦੀਆਂ ਨੇ ਜਦ ਕਿਸੇ ਜਗ੍ਹਾ ਨੂੰ ਸਜੇ ਹੋਏ ਘਰ 'ਚ ਬਦਲਿਆ ਜਾਵੇ। ਨਵੇਂ ਘਰਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਫਰੇਮਿੰਗ ਤੋਂ ਲੈ ਕੇ ਫਿਨਿਸ਼ਿੰਗ ਤੱਕ, ਡ੍ਰੇਪਰੀ, ਪੇਂਟਿੰਗਸ ਤੋਂ ਲੈ ਕੇ ਡੈਕੋਰੇਸ਼ਨ ਐਕਸੈਸਰੀਜ਼ ਤੱਕ, ਤੁਸੀਂ SK ਹੋਮ ਡਿਜ਼ਾਈਨਸ ਦੀਆਂ ਪ੍ਰੋਫੈਸ਼ਨਲ ਸਰਵਿਸਿਜ਼ ਲੈ ਕੇ ਆਪਣੇ ਸੁਪਨਿਆਂ ਦੇ ਘਰ ਨੂੰ ਹਕੀਕਤ 'ਚ ਬਦਲ ਸਕਦੇ ਹੋ। ਕੰਟੈਕਟ ਕਰੋ ਸੰਦੀਪ ਕੌਰ 6048259295।
ਜੇ ਕਿਸੇ ਬਿਜ਼ਨਸਮੈਨ ਨੂੰ ਕੋਈ ਪਿਆਰ ਕਰਦਾ ਹੈ ਤਾਂ ਕੀ ਵਜ੍ਹਾ ਹੋ ਸਕਦੀ ਹੈ? ਸੁਖੀ ਬਾਟ ਮੋਟਰਸ ਦੇ ਓਨਰ ਸੁਖੀ ਬਾਟ ਨੂੰ ਵੇਖ ਕੇ ਇਹ ਗੱਲ ਸਮਝ ਆ ਜਾਂਦੀ ਹੈ। ਇੰਟੈਲੀਜੈਂਸ ਦਾ ਉਦਾਹਰਨ ਇਹ ਹੈ ਕਿ ਕਾਰ ਸੈਗਮੈਂਟ ਤੋਂ ਵੱਖ ਸੁਖੀ ਬਾਟ ਮੋਟਰਸ ਲੈ ਕੇ ਆਏ ਨੇ ਸਰੀ ਦਾ ਪਹਿਲਾ ਟਰੱਕ ਸੈਂਟਰ, ਜਿੱਥੇ ਤੁਹਾਡੇ ਲੋੜ ਦੇ ਹਿਸਾਬ ਨਾਲ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਲੋੜੀਂਦੇ ਟਰੱਕਸ ਬਾਰੇ ਗਾਈਡੈਂਸ ਦਿੱਤੀ ਜਾਂਦੀ ਹੈ। ਸਪੇਸ, ਮੋਡੀਫਿਕੇਸ਼ਨ ਤੇ ਫਿਊਲ ਐਫੀਸ਼ੀਐਂਸੀ ਸਭ ਨੂੰ ਧਿਆਨ ਵਿੱਚ ਰੱਖਿਆ ਜਾਂਦਾ ਹੈ। ਸੁਖੀ ਬਾਟ ਟਰੱਕ ਸੈਂਟਰ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਟਰੱਕਾਂ ਨਾਲ ਹੀ ਹੈ ਟੌਰ।
ਸਵਾਗਤ ਕਰਦੇ ਹਾਂ ਜੀ ਇੱਕ ਵਾਰ ਫਿਰ ਆਪ ਸਭ ਦਾ ਅੱਜ ਦੇ ਇਸ ਪ੍ਰੋਗਰਾਮ ਵਿੱਚ। ਮੇਰਾ ਸਾਥ ਦੇ ਰਹੇ ਨੇ ਅਜ਼ੀਮ ਜਮਾਲ, ਜਿਹੜੇ ਕਿ ਇੱਕ ਨਾਮਵਰ ਆਥਰ ਨੇ ਤੇ ਪਬਲਿਕ ਸਪੀਕਰ ਨੇ, ਇੱਕ ਮੋਟੀਵੇਟਰ ਹੈਗੇ ਨੇ ਤੇ ਦੁਨੀਆ ਭਰ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਜਾ ਕੇ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਜਿਹੜੀਆਂ 10 ਕਿਤਾਬਾਂ ਲਿਖੀਆਂ ਨੇ, ਲੋਕਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਇਹ ਇਨਫਲੂਐਂਸ ਕਰਦੇ ਹੈਗੇ ਨੇ ਕਿ ਆਪਣੀ ਜ਼ਿੰਦਗੀ ਦਾ ਪਰਪਸ ਲੱਭੋ। ਜਦੋਂ ਪਰਪਸ ਲੱਭ ਜਾਏਗਾ ਤਾਂ ਪੈਸ਼ਨ ਹੋਏਗਾ, ਤਾਂ ਯੂਨੀਵਰਸ ਵੀ ਤੁਹਾਡੇ ਨਾਲ ਤੁਹਾਡੀ ਸਹਾਇਤਾ ਲਈ ਅੱਗੇ ਆਏਗਾ। ਅਜ਼ੀਮ ਨੇ ਦੱਸਿਆ ਕਿ ਕਿਸ ਤਰੀਕੇ ਨਾਲ ਹਰ ਇੱਕ ਚੀਜ਼ ਜੋ ਹੈ ਉਹ ਰਿਵੋਲਵ ਕਰਦੀ ਹੈ ਕਿ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਦੂਸਰਿਆਂ ਨੂੰ ਕੀ ਦੇ ਰਹੇ ਹੈਗੇ ਹੋ। ਅੱਜ ਅਸੀਂ ਹਮੇਸ਼ਾ ਹੀ ਐਕਿਊਮੂਲੇਸ਼ਨ ਦੀ ਗੱਲ ਕਰਦੇ ਹਾਂ, ਆਪਣੇ ਵਾਸਤੇ, ਆਪਣੇ ਬੱਚਿਆਂ ਵਾਸਤੇ, ਪਰ ਸਮਾਜ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਕਿਵੇਂ ਬਿਹਤਰੀ ਲਿਆਈ ਜਾ ਸਕਦੀ ਹੈ ਜਿਸ ਨਾਲ ਕਿ ਸਮਾਜ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਬਿਹਤਰੀ ਆ ਕੇ ਨਾ ਸਿਰਫ ਸਮਾਜ ਨੂੰ ਬਿਹਤਰ ਫਾਇਦਾ ਹੁੰਦਾ ਲੇਕਿਨ ਆਪਣੇ ਆਪ ਦੀ ਵੀ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਹੈਗੀ ਹੈ ਤਰੱਕੀ ਉਹ ਹੋ ਜਾਂਦੀ ਹੈਗੀ ਹੈ। ਇਸ ਤੋਂ ਪਹਿਲਾਂ ਕਿ ਅਸੀਂ ਵਾਪਸ ਅਜ਼ੀਮ ਜਮਾਲ ਨੂੰ ਲੈ ਕੇ ਆਈਏ, ਦੱਸ ਦਈਏ ਕਿ ਅੱਜ ਦਾ ਇਹ ਪ੍ਰੋਗਰਾਮ ਤੁਹਾਡੇ ਤੱਕ ਪਹੁੰਚਾਇਆ ਜਾ ਰਿਹਾ ਅਗਨੀਹੋਤਰੀ ਇਮੀਗ੍ਰੇਸ਼ਨ ਕੰਸਲਟਿੰਗ ਵੱਲੋਂ। ਟੈਂਪਰੇਰੀ ਸਟੇਟਸ PR, ਨਵੇਂ ਹੋ ਕੈਨੇਡਾ ਵਿੱਚ, ਅੰਤਰਰਾਸ਼ਟਰੀ ਵਿਦਿਆਰਥੀ ਹੋ, ਕੈਨੇਡਾ ਆਉਣਾ ਚਾਹੁੰਦੇ ਹੋ, ਜਾਂ ਫਿਰ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਸਪਾਂਸਰ ਕਰ ਰਹੇ ਨੇ ਪੇਰੈਂਟਸ ਜਾਂ ਗ੍ਰੈਂਡ ਪੇਰੈਂਟਸ, ਤਾਂ ਤੁਹਾਡੀ ਮਦਦ ਕਰ ਸਕਦੇ ਨੇ ਨੀਰਾ ਅਗਨੀਹੋਤਰੀ, ਜੋ ਕਿ 2006 ਤੋਂ ਸਰਟੀਫਾਈਡ ਇਮੀਗ੍ਰੇਸ਼ਨ ਕੰਸਲਟੈਂਟ ਵਜੋਂ ਕੰਮ ਕਰ ਰਹੇ ਨੇ। ਹੋਰ ਜਾਣਕਾਰੀ ਲਈ ਕਾਲ ਕਰੋ 604-597-2284 604-597-2284। This program is brought to you with the support of AMC Insurance. They have 9 branches in the lower mainland to serve you, and they're open 7 days a week from 8:30 a.m. onwards till 9 p.m. For home, auto, travel, business, life or recreational insurance, you can depend upon them. 604-507-6666 is their number. So today we are talking to Azim Jamal, and what he's talking about is how to find your passion. Everybody wants to be successful in life, but what is success all about? Is it mere accumulation of things? Is that what is success? Which generally we think today that is what it is, but according to Azim, it is something different. So how does he describe success? Let's learn a little bit more from him in this last segment. So Azim, success, as I pointed out, everything today is counted or measured in terms of how much you have. And it is not on the other way around, that how much, as you are talking about, live to give. It is not counted on those counts. Your status depends upon the money you earn, the kind of influence you have in the circles. So according to you, what is success all about?
So I would define success is if today, for example, is May 1st. In Vancouver, it's 9:25 a.m. By the time you go to sleep, if today was the most important and most powerful day of your life, and you give your 100% today, that's success. So today is the day that counts. Yesterday is gone, it's history. Tomorrow is not come yet, it's a mystery. But today is the present, it's gift. That's why it's called present, because it's a gift. So today, if you live fully and give 110% to your purpose, to your mission, to your giving, to your making impact, that's the power. You know, Dr. Stephen Post did over 50 scientific studies at top universities in the US, and he concluded the simple act of purposeful giving enhances the giver's happiness, health, resilience, creativity, and longevity. Just a simple, purposeful act of giving. We are born to give. We are hardwired to give. We have an innate need to give. And when we give, we become very, very powerful. So if you live today fully and keep giving, to your family, to your customers, to a stranger, suddenly your day becomes a powerful day. Tomorrow we don't know what happens. Today is what you have.
Very true.
This is the moment. Don't count the moments, but make every moment count.
Excellent. Another thing is that everybody is pursuing for happiness. We accumulate things, we enjoy life, but still we are not happy, and that is what is being seen in the Western world. But like you gave an example in tent, they didn't have anything, but they were happy. So again, how to acquire that kind of happiness?
Begin to enjoy the beautiful act of giving. When you start to give, you find the joy of giving. Those people who haven't tasted the beauty and the bounty and the joy and the power of giving don't know what they're missing. You have to experience that unconditional giving. You see, nature is all about giving. The sun, Hafiz says, the Sufi poet, the sun, after all these years, doesn't tell the earth, you owe me because I've given you light for eons. With a love like that, you light the whole sky. So when you want to experience joy of happiness, start the joy of giving, and you'll find what happens.
There is strife all over the world. A lot of talk is being done about peace, love, affection. But when we see all around us what is happening, it kind of demotivates you that what is happening in the world. Everybody is just pursuing for something different. So how can my small change in my behavior bring about the change that I want in the world? So like you said, every step counts. Can you elaborate on this?
Sure. I think there's a quote by Margaret Mead. She says, never doubt that a small group of citizens can change the world. It's the only thing that changes the world.
Right.
Who are this small group? If you look at Nelson Mandela or Mahatma Gandhi or, Martin Luther King, the few people who decide to make change created the changes in the world. So I think not to worry about what you cannot control. If you have no power of controlling the war in Ukraine, for example, it's better to focus on your circle of influence. There are two circles: circle of concern, big circle, and circle of influence, which is a small circle. The more you focus on what your influence is, the more you expand that circle and impact the big circle. So don't doubt that you have the power. You have the power to change within your own vicinity, your family, your children, your spouse, your client, whoever it is, and then you expand from there. And that's what you do, is what you can do, not what you can't do.
Your next book, From Success to Significance. So, like you have already described what success is all about. So, from success to significance, how can you be in that sphere of influence?
So the book is actually called Spark with a title. The subtitle is Journey from Success to Significance. So the book talks about how do you create spark. And spark is created by 5 things, which is the letter spark. S is for service, which is giving. P is for purpose, finding your purpose. A is for attraction. You attract the power of it's the power of attraction. A. R is for resilience, and K is for knowing. If you have that spark and it takes you from success to significance, success is very personal. I am successful. But when you have success larger than self, it becomes significance. So you want to be successful, but you also want to make others successful. So it's going from ego to more than being from selfish to selfless, basically.
And again, comes to live to give. The more you give, the more you will have those changes, what you're aspiring for.
Absolutely. And the more you give, the more you tap into your genius, because the genius is lying asleep. Because we don't need too much to be happy. Although we think we need too much, but we don't need too much to be happy. And you have to be very clear about your deathbed wish. What are you going to say to your creator on your day you die? And if you can create that wow statement when you're 90 years old and dying, and you live your life aligned to that, that's when you connect with your purpose, and you connect with your giving, and you connect with your happiness.
Right. And that spark is evident in your talk, Azim. Though you are now around in the mid-60s, but that spark is seen and is evident from your talk, that smile on your face, and that confidence and that willingness to change that you aspire for in the world. So these 2 years, especially the COVID era, was very depressing for a lot of people, and people are still coming out of that shock. What would be your message to those people?
So I traveled 209 days in 2019 out of Canada, 2019. in COVID, I hardly traveled until like September 21. But you know what? I had many calls on Zoom. So all my clients, I was more in touch with my clients on Zoom than when I was traveling. Because every 2 weeks I would speak to them. One client I have said to me, Azim, when you were traveling, you came and visited me 3 times. But in the Zoom period, you were talking to me every 2 weeks. So we spoke 26 times in the year. So he was quite happy me not traveling. So ultimately, it's about you pivoting, right? When things happen, instead of, not react to it, but you respond to it by finding a solution. For every problem, for every door that closes, 21 doors are opening. But if you're too focused on the door closing, you don't see the doors opening. So life will happen. But what are you going to do towards the life that happens? And COVID was a blessing. I mean, it was a bad thing. It killed so many people, and it's unfortunate. But it made us slow down and see other things in life which we are missing out.
So basically trying to find opportunity in every situation, whether it is challenging or in our favor. If we change our perspective and we learn from what we are learning to help others also achieve success, that is what is life all about.
And anybody can give. A blind lady who is 90, has no money, can also give. She can give love. She can give a smile. She can give a prayer. So nobody is deprived of giving. We can all give something. And when we give, we become richer, not poorer.
Excellent. Azim,
You don't have to be rich to give. Rather, you become richer when you give.
Right, absolutely. So Azim, anybody who's interested in knowing more about you, about your lectures, about your books, where can they go and find all this information?
If they go to my website, corporatesufi.com, I write a daily blog. It's a very powerful, inspiring blog. It's free. If they just register for the blog, subscribe, every day they will get a blog about spark, how to get spark in your life. Small, short blog every day. And once they are part of that, then they will get the messages of the whatever I do. I write my books, my speaking, and so on. So I would welcome people to join. And when they joined, if they tell me they came from Harpreet Singh's show, then I will send them a free booklet of one of my latest books. What you seek is
Excellent,
seeking
wonderful.
you.
That's very kind of you. Thank you very much. And before I let you go, from all this talk, if there is one thing from which we need to start today, or just take that today as the kind of blog what you write every day, what would be that?
So I think, sit down and ask yourself, imagine you're 90 years old and you're dying, and your creator tells you, welcome back, Harpreet. I gave you eyes that were so small, but you can see the stars trillions of miles away. I gave you a brain that was more powerful than a computer. Tell me about your life. And what do you want to say to your creator that will make you feel, wow, my life was amazing? Write that down. And then use that statement, and everything you do, the way you walk, talk, breathe, sleep, work, run your family, everything aligned to that statement, you'll find twinkle in your eye, smile on your face, your heart is open, there's an echo in your voice, there's a spring in your step, you have the oomph, the flow as you were talking about, because you're living your life aligning to your purpose and making that purpose make an impact to people and to the creation. Amazing things happen.
Excellent. It was a pleasure talking to you, Azim. Thank you very much for your time, and hoping for much more talks in future also, and hoping to read a book soon. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Harpreet. You keep up your wonderful work as well.
Thank you. Have a great evening. Thank you. ਸੋ ਇਹ ਸਨ ਸਾਡੇ ਅੱਜ ਦੇ ਮਹਿਮਾਨ ਅਜ਼ੀਮ ਜਮਾਲ, ਜਿਨ੍ਹਾਂ ਨੇ ਕਿ ਅੱਜ ਗੱਲਬਾਤ ਕੀਤੀ ਕਿ ਜ਼ਿੰਦਗੀ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਸਿਰਫ ਪੈਸੇ ਦੇਣ ਨਾਲ ਹੀ ਨਹੀਂ ਕਿਸੇ ਦੀ ਮਦਦ ਹੁੰਦੀ। ਇਹੀ ਸਮਾਂ ਹੈ, ਕੱਲ ਦਾ ਪਤਾ ਨਹੀਂ, ਕੱਲ ਕੀ ਹੋਣਾ ਉਸ ਦੇ ਬਾਰੇ ਵੀ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਪਤਾ ਨਹੀਂ। ਜੋ ਪਿੱਛੇ ਸਮਾਂ ਚਲਾ ਗਿਆ ਉਸ ਨੂੰ ਵਾਪਸ ਲਿਆ ਨਹੀਂ ਸਕਦੇ, ਲੇਕਿਨ ਦ ਪ੍ਰੈਜ਼ੈਂਟ ਮੂਮੈਂਟ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਹੈਗਾ ਉਸ ਨੂੰ ਅਸੀਂ ਠੀਕ ਕਰਨ ਵਾਸਤੇ ਆਪਣਾ ਯੋਗਦਾਨ ਪਾਈਏ। ਕਿਸੇ ਨੂੰ ਖੁਸ਼ੀ ਦੇ ਦੇਣੀ, ਕਿਸੇ ਨਾਲ ਹੱਸ ਕੇ ਬੋਲ ਦੇਣਾ, ਗਿਵਿੰਗ ਮੋਰ ਦੈਨ ਐਕਸਪੈਕਟਡ ਜਦੋਂ ਅਸੀਂ ਲਿਆਵਾਂਗੇ ਤਾਂ ਆਟੋਮੈਟਿਕਲੀ ਦ ਯੂਨੀਵਰਸ ਵਿਲ ਕੰਸਪਾਇਰ ਟੂ ਗਿਵ ਅਸ ਬੈਕ। ਇਹ ਕੌਨਸੈਪਟ ਦੇ ਉੱਤੇ ਅੱਜ ਜੋ ਅਜ਼ੀਮ ਨੇ ਗੱਲ ਕੀਤੀ, ਅੱਜ ਇਹ ਬਹੁਤ ਸਕਸੈਸਫੁਲ ਹੋਏ ਨੇ। 43 ਸਾਲ ਦੀ ਉਮਰ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਆਪਣਾ ਕਾਰਪੋਰੇਟ ਫੀਲਡ ਦਾ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਕੰਮ ਸੀ ਉਹ ਛੱਡ ਕੇ ਅਕਾਊਂਟਿੰਗ ਦਾ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਇਸ ਪਾਸੇ ਆ ਕੇ ਕੰਮ ਸ਼ੁਰੂ ਕੀਤਾ। ਬਹੁਤ ਸਾਰੇ ਚੈਲੰਜਸ ਆਏ, ਲੇਕਿਨ ਪੈਸ਼ਨ ਸੀ, ਪਰਸਿਸਟੈਂਸ ਸੀ ਅਤੇ ਮਨ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਪਤਾ ਸੀ ਕਿ ਮੈਂ ਕਾਮਯਾਬ ਹੋਵਾਂਗਾ, ਅਤੇ ਅੱਜ ਉਸੀ ਦੇ ਫਲਸਰੂਪ ਅੱਜ ਇਹ ਬੈਠੇ ਨੇ। ਇਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਇੱਕ ਬੜੀ ਸੋਹਣਾ ਐਗਜ਼ਾਮਪਲ ਦਿੱਤਾ ਕਿ ਜਦੋਂ ਤੁਸੀਂ 90 ਸਾਲ ਦੇ ਹੋਵੋਗੇ, ਵੈਨ ਯੂ ਆਰ ਐਟ ਯੋਰ ਡੈਥ ਬੈਡ, what will you be proud of? ਤੁਸੀਂ ਕੀ ਕੀਤਾ? ਪੈਸਾ ਜਿੰਨਾ ਮਰਜ਼ੀ ਅਸੀਂ ਐਕਿਊਮੂਲੇਟ ਕਰ ਲਈਏ, ਕੀ ਉਸ ਨਾਲ ਖੁਸ਼ੀ ਮਿਲੇਗੀ? ਅੱਜ ਅਸੀਂ ਦੇਖ ਰਹੇ ਹਾਂ ਕਿ ਪੈਸਾ ਹੋਣ ਦੇ ਬਾਵਜੂਦ ਲੋਕ ਨਾ ਖੁਸ਼ ਨੇ, ਲੇਕਿਨ ਜੇਕਰ ਅਸੀਂ ਕਿਸੇ ਨੂੰ ਅੱਗੇ ਆ ਕੇ ਅੱਜ ਦੇ ਦਿਹਾੜੇ ਇਹ ਪ੍ਰਣ ਕਰ ਲਈਏ ਕਿ ਅਸੀਂ ਕਿਸੇ ਦੀ ਮਦਦ ਕਰਨੀ ਹੈ, ਕਿਸੇ ਨੂੰ ਖੁਸ਼ ਕਰਨਾ ਹੈ, ਆਪਣੇ ਪਰਿਵਾਰ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਅਸੀਂ ਇੱਕ ਚੰਗਾ ਮਾਹੌਲ ਬਣਾਉਣਾ ਹੈ, ਤੇ ਇਸ ਨਾਲ ਡੈਫੀਨੇਟਲੀ ਲਾਈਫ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਹੈ ਚੇਂਜ ਹੋਏਗੀ। ਥੋੜਾ ਮੇਰਾ ਸਾਥ ਹੋਇਆ ਕਰਦਾ ਹੈ। ਐਂਡ ਅਗੇਨ ਅਜ਼ੀਮ ਜਮਾਲ ਬਾਰੇ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਕੋਈ ਹੋਰ ਜਾਣਕਾਰੀ ਲੈਣੀ ਹੋਏ ਤਾਂ corporatesufi.com ਤੇ ਜਾ ਸਕਦੇ ਹੋ। ਤੇ ਜਿਸ ਤਰ੍ਹਾਂ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਕਿਹਾ ਕਿ ਜੇਕਰ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਦਾ ਹਰਪ੍ਰੀਤ ਸਿੰਘ ਸ਼ੋਅ ਦਾ ਉੱਥੇ ਰੈਫਰ ਕਰਦੇ ਹੋ ਤਾਂ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਇਹ ਕੋਈ ਬੁਕਲੈਟ ਵੀ ਜ਼ਰੂਰ ਭੇਜਣਗੇ। ਇਹਨਾਂ ਦੀਆਂ 10 ਕਿਤਾਬਾਂ ਨੇ, ਜ਼ਰੂਰ ਪੜ੍ਹੋ, ਕਿਉਂਕਿ ਕਿਤਾਬ ਹੀ ਇੱਕ ਐਸਾ ਐਕਸਪੀਰੀਅੰਸ ਹੈ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਕਿ ਦੂਸਰਿਆਂ ਦਾ ਐਕਸਪੀਰੀਅੰਸ ਵਧੀਆ ਅਸੀਂ ਲੈ ਕੇ ਆਪਣੇ ਜੀਵਨ ਵਿੱਚ ਪਰਿਵਰਤਨ ਲਿਆ ਸਕਦੇ ਹਾਂ। ਇੱਥੇ ਕਰਦੇ ਹਾਂ ਪ੍ਰੋਗਰਾਮ ਦੀ ਸਮਾਪਤੀ। ਤੁਹਾਡਾ ਮੇਰਾ ਸਾਥ ਹੋਇਆ ਕਰਦਾ ਮੰਡੇ ਟੂ ਫਰਾਈਡੇ ਸ਼ਾਮ ਦੇ 6 ਵਜੇ ਦਾ ਪੈਸੀਫਿਕ ਟਾਈਮ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ। ਤੁਸੀਂ ਵੀ ਇਸ ਪ੍ਰੋਗਰਾਮ ਦਾ ਹਿੱਸਾ ਬਣਨਾ ਚਾਹੋ ਤਾਂ ਮੇਰੇ ਨਾਲ ਸੰਪਰਕ ਕਰ ਸਕਦੇ ਹੋ 604 603 7555। So anywhere in the world, if you want to be a part of this program, you can WhatsApp me at 604-603-7555. And thank you very much for sparing your valuable time and being a part of this program. Have a safe evening, stay healthy and enjoy yourself. ਟਾਈਲ ਅਤੇ ਸਟੋਨ ਸ਼ੋਰੂਮ ਇੱਕ ਐਸੀ ਥਾਂ ਹੈ ਜਿੱਥੇ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਹੋਲਸੇਲ ਕੀਮਤਾਂ ਤੇ ਹਰ ਕਿਸਮ ਦੀਆਂ ਟਾਈਲਸ, ਸਟੋਨ, ਮਾਰਬਲ, ਬੈਕਸਪਲੈਸ਼, ਮੋਜ਼ੇਕ ਆਦਿ ਵਾਜਬ ਕੀਮਤਾਂ ਤੇ ਮਿਲ ਸਕਦਾ ਹੈ। ਇਟਾਲੀਅਨ, ਸਪੈਨਿਸ਼, ਚਾਈਨੀਜ਼, ਪੋਰਸਲਨ ਜਾਂ ਸਿਰੈਮਿਕ ਟਾਈਲਸ ਜਾਂ ਮਾਰਬਲ ਸਪੈਸ਼ਲ ਆਰਡਰ ਤੇ ਜਾਂ ਕਲੀਅਰੈਂਸ ਤੇ ਲੈ ਸਕਦੇ ਹੋ। ਮਾਲਕ ਡਾਇਰੈਕਟ ਟਾਈਲਸ ਇੰਪੋਰਟ ਕਰਦੇ ਹਨ, ਜਿਸ ਕਰਕੇ ਵਧੀਆ ਕੁਆਲਿਟੀ ਦਾ ਸਮਾਨ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਆਪਣੇ ਘਰ ਦਾ ਸ਼ਿੰਗਾਰ ਬਣਾ ਸਕਦੇ ਹੋ। ਅੱਜ ਹੀ ਵਿਜ਼ਿਟ ਕਰੋ 13042 84 ਐਵਨਿਊ ਸਰੀ। ਪੰਜਾਬੀ ਹਿੰਦੀ ਵਿੱਚ ਗੱਲ ਕਰਨ ਲਈ ਕਾਲ ਕਰੋ 604 330 7363 604 330 7363। ਹਰ ਇੱਕ NRI ਪੰਜਾਬੀ ਦੀ ਇਹ ਚਾਹ ਹੁੰਦੀ ਹੈ ਕਿ ਉਹ ਅੰਮ੍ਰਿਤਸਰ ਜ਼ਰੂਰ ਆਵੇ, ਇੱਥੇ ਆ ਕੇ ਮੱਥਾ ਉਹ ਟੇਕਦਾ ਹੀ ਹੈ। ਐਂਡ ਆਫ ਕੋਰਸ ਅੰਮ੍ਰਿਤਸਰ ਜੇ ਆਈਏ ਤਾਂ ਸ਼ਾਪਿੰਗ ਨਾ ਕਰੀਏ, ਇਹ ਤਾਂ ਆਫ ਕੋਰਸ ਸੰਭਵ ਹੀ ਨਹੀਂ ਹੈ। ਪਰ ਹੁਣ ਸਾਡੇ ਵਾਸਤੇ ਸਾਰਿਆਂ ਹੀ ਲਈ ਇੱਕ ਖੁਸ਼ਖਬਰੀ ਹੈ ਕਿ ਅੰਮ੍ਰਿਤਸਰ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਮਾਲ ਰੋਡ ਦੇ ਉੱਤੇ ਇੱਕ ਬਹੁਤ ਹੀ ਵਧੀਆ ਸਟੋਰ ਜਿਸ ਦਾ ਨਾਮ ਹੈ ਅਨਿਲ ਸਟੋਰ, ਉਹ ਖੁੱਲ ਚੁੱਕਿਆ ਹੈ, ਜਿੱਥੇ ਕਿ ਲੇਡੀਜ਼, ਜੈਂਟਸ ਅਤੇ ਬੱਚਿਆਂ ਦੇ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਸਟਿਚਡ ਅਤੇ ਅਨਸਟਿਚਡ ਕੱਪੜੇ ਖਰੀਦ ਸਕਦੇ ਹੋ। ਸੋ ਮੈਂ ਆਪ ਸਭ ਨੂੰ ਬੇਨਤੀ ਕਰਦਾ ਹਾਂ ਕਿ ਖਾਸ ਤੌਰ ਉੱਤੇ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਮੇਰਾ ਪ੍ਰੋਗਰਾਮ ਦੇਖਦੇ ਹੈਗੇ ਨੇ ਕਿ ਜਦੋਂ ਵੀ ਅੰਮ੍ਰਿਤਸਰ ਆਓ ਤਾਂ ਇੱਥੇ ਆ ਕੇ ਜ਼ਰੂਰ ਸ਼ਾਪਿੰਗ ਕਰੋ ਅਤੇ ਬਹੁਤ ਹੀ ਵਧੀਆ ਕੀਮਤਾਂ ਤੇ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਇਹ ਸਾਰੇ ਚੀਜ਼ਾਂ ਮਿਲ ਸਕਦੀਆਂ ਨੇ। ਹੇਠ ਲਿਖੇ ਐਡਰੈਸ ਅਤੇ ਫੋਨ ਤੇ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਫੋਨ ਵੀ ਕਰ ਸਕਦੇ ਹੋ ਕਿ ਜੇਕਰ ਅੰਮ੍ਰਿਤਸਰ ਨਹੀਂ ਆ ਰਹੇ, ਈਵਨ ਕੈਨੇਡਾ ਵਿੱਚ ਰਹਿੰਦੇ ਹੋਏ ਵੀ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਫੋਨ ਕਰੋ ਅਤੇ ਇਹ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਆਨਲਾਈਨ ਸ਼ਾਪਿੰਗ ਵੀ ਕਰਵਾ ਸਕਦੇ ਹੋ।